Hello and welcome to Matrix Live. Today my guest is Halfshot, the famous bridge master. He's coming back today with a fancy new feature for the IRC bridge. The boring name is connection pooling, I believe, but it has a much more appealing name. What it is?
We're going for eternal bridges.
Eternal Bridges. So Eternal Bridges, this is an interesting name because an IRC bridge is an app service. And an app service is a piece of software that runs next to a home server. And if the app service goes down, the bridge doesn't bridge anymore. And when it comes back up, it can bridge again. So what is the point of an eternal bridge? Are you reinventing Kubernetes or something like that?
No, it's much more low level than that. This is the problem mostly down to the RST bridges, where if we basically stop bridging and we turn them off, and then we turn back on again, you basically get a load of spam. First load of spam, you turn it off because all the quits come through. And if you've ever used the RST bridge or been in a matrix room that's public for a while, you'll notice when the RST bridge disables, a load of stuff happens, all loads of quits turn up, the channel becomes like a tenth of the size, and everyone's like, oh my god, what's happened? Then we turn it back on, things turn up slower, and what happens generally is the RSC admins get very upset with us that we just like destroyed the load connections, recreated them. It's a hard problem because the current RSC bridge relies on all those connections existing at the same time it does. So if you kill the RSC bridge, all the connections go with it. Lots of spam, everyone's very unhappy, and also the bridge itself, gets a bit startled by the fact that it's got to reconnect 20,000 TCP connections in the space of like 10 or 20 minutes. Generally, lots of noise, lots of explosions, lots of performance, and lots of CPUs burning. We'd like to avoid doing that. I think that's a reasonable goal.
All right, so it's mostly about being a good citizen in the bridge universe. So basically, not being a burden to the platform you bridge to.
Yeah, so basically, we want to be friendly to our platforms, of course we do. But we also want to find a way in which we can do that while maintaining our current feature set. Of course, we could do things like not bridging all the matrix users across, or some sort of neutering at the bridge to reduce feature sets, or having reduced number of rooms. But we don't want to kill any features when doing this. We really would like to keep everything the bridge does, but also make it performant, which sounds like having your cake and eating it. Except what we've actually done here is built an extension cake, which sits on the side of our main cake. And so the way this actually works is we have a two-process system to ensure that even if we restart the bridge or something happens, the connections are held in place. If that makes sense.
It does make sense, but I'm wondering, can we see it visually? Do you have a demo we can see?
I've got many console logs which function as a demo. So what I should do is I should share my screen to everyone and they can see the many console logs. So what I've got here is your standard RSC bridging setup. If you're a developer of RSC bridges, you'll see this every day, with the exception of one extra terminal window. So in here we've got RSC client connected to, I believe, the general chat. And the matrix client, we've got a general chat window. So I say hello, say hello back. This is a very exciting RSC bridge, all standard stuff. Up here, we've got our RSC bridge client itself, or the RSC bridge itself, which is basically a standard thing. You'll see there's a bit of extra logs, but it's all very standard stuff. And here we've got this new guy called the RSC connection pool. Right now, you can see it's doing virtually nothing. It's only a few messages here and there, but it's doing not much. So the way this actually works and the way this whole system operates is if we go and kill the bridge, because I've decided I don't want this bridge to hang around anymore, we've just killed the bridge. If you look here, you see that my guy is still connected. He hasn't quit. Still perfectly fine. No spam whatsoever. Let's just say I've gone and done an update to the bridge now. I've gone and restarted some things, made some changes, done a git pull, whatever. Now turn the bridge back on. You notice the bridge just comes straight back up. Doesn't even do much spinning around or any sort of rejoining or massive spam. You notice on this side, the RSC server's seen absolutely nothing. Nothing's changed here. Let's say hello again. You see the message still comes straight back through. With increasing capital letters, and it's all very cool. Like it just works. Very little noise, very little CPU burn. The IRC admins literally don't know what happened because there wasn't a single change in our TCP traffic patterns. And what this allows us essentially to do is make updates to IRC bridge at will. If we have an outage because the meat of the process, the when does the most CPU burning, the most memory usage dies for whatever reason, if Kubernetes decides to go kill our bridge, and whatever happens, the connections live on in this very micro process. I mean, it's using very little memory. It just sits there and does absolutely nothing. The way this works under the hood is really quite simple. This essentially is a redisconnected TCP connection system. So it pretty much just buffers TCP connections in the node side with a Redis that sits in the middle. It's a very, very simple command structure. And so what this means is if we update any part of this software in the bridge side, we don't have to make changes to this side. We very, very rarely have to restart the pool unless there's some extreme maintenance or a new node version or something like that. So because the language between the RC bridge and the pool is so simple, it means we can basically restart the bridge often, restart this part rarely, and therefore it means when we're talking to RC admins, we haven't got to do many restarts that affect them. And this means we can do loads of things better. We can do faster security updates. We can do more feature changes. If a user has an issue that we need to restart the bridge for a config change, we can just do boom, do that, restart the thing, come straight back up. Literally no effects on each side. And so I guess the only thing you probably would like to be asking is, okay, so when this is down, what happens to all my messages, my traffic? Does this just get lost? Does this get lost forever? Because of course now it's not bridging through. But what we can actually do is we can restart the bridge. And in theory, if this behaves itself, it should actually buffer through and send across. It's one feature I've not tested very much. There's a good chance it won't buffer through very well. But eventually the idea is that messages from the other side to matrix will buffer across to a certain amount of messages, so we won't lose any traffic. And then on the matrix side, we'll probably also do some limited buffering. So short-term restart shouldn't have any effects to users whatsoever. And that's a lot of words to say. This really rocks, and it should massively improve everyone's lives, from RC Bridge admins to RC admins themselves, the users. Everyone benefits, and all you really need to do to run this thing is a Redis. So yeah, pretty happy with this system.
It's amazing. I mean, it's not often that you see a demonstration where the most interesting thing to see is that nothing is happening. So very cool to see that there is no spam when you restart the bridge. One question I do have though is, will that feature be open source?
Of course. Everything we do in the IOTA bridge is open source. We've never done a single line of code for the IOTA bridge that's been closed source. Never probably will. It's a thing we've loved doing. It's a thing I've wanted to work on, I think, since I've been an intern at Element. So we're talking 3 or 4 years of needing to want to do this work. So I'm very, very happy to say that knows this work been done in an open source manner, that anyone running a bridge today could use this. Well, right now you could use this PR and get set up with a Redis and make it work. So yeah, I'm really excited for this.
And so you say it's been 4 years that you wanted to work on that. Now it's nearly done because we have seen a demo of it working pretty well. Do you know when we can expect it to be released?
So release-wise, in terms of actually in a RSC Bridge release, we'd like to think fairly soon. Really what needs to happen now is a tiny bit more reliability testing and feature work and documentation, all the usual boring stuff, and then we'll put it into an RSC Bridge release. In terms of getting onto the RSC Bridge networks themselves, obviously this comes with a fairly heavy change to the structure of how we do bridges in terms of where we put the bridges and where we put the pool connections and doing things properly. So we're giving ourselves a fairly sort of a deadline of May-ish for the public matrix to org bridges, and that includes Libera chat, etc. So release comes first, and that will come out fairly soonish, and people can start testing it and reporting back to stuff to us. Long term, we'd like us to land on the open source, well, on the matrix org bridges fairly soon, but we don't want to commit to an exact date because there's a lot of changes that aren't just down to me to make it happen.
Okay, it's pretty reassuring to see that there is a lot of QA going on to make sure that such a fundamental change is well tested before it's deployed, especially when the goal is to reduce the noise of restarts and crashes on the IOC network. So you mentioned LiberaChat. Is it the only network that is going to benefit from that?
So actually, no, this is going to go everywhere. Certainly for all the big networks, we want to have this out there. So FTC and all the various ones we have out there would hopefully benefit from this. Probably targeting Libera simply because it's our biggest network. So we'll probably put it on there first just because it makes sense to do that. But yeah, anything that we think like there's a real risk of spam, or like basically more than like, I don't know, 50 odd people, we'll probably try and put this on. I can speak on behalf of Element and say that any large points we do for customers will probably benefit from this work. Particularly anything doing IPv6 data bridging will benefit. But yeah, I mean, there's a cost benefit of if you're running a tiny bridge, there's probably much point in you running a pool unless you're very, very like anxious about messages and quick messages coming through. But yeah, anyone can run it, and we'll certainly run it for our biggest networks.
And I just thought of a new question. This makes a lot of sense for IOC because IOC is very sensitive to leave and join, etc. But would it make sense for other bridges, other platforms like Discord or Slack, for example?
Probably not very. Most of those networks tend to have a single webhook style syncing queue system. So if your bridge goes down for 5 minutes, then your messages are queued up and resent. So in those cases, we tend to just rely on the bridge doing coming back up quickly and working. Things like Hookshot tend to have a multi-process system. So because that's a much more complicated bridge, we have a multi-process where different parts of Hookshot run on different processes if you want them to. But RSC is the one where we really benefit because there simply isn't a simple like a webhook to bridge system. It always everything is down a single TCP stream. So it makes the most sense in this case to do it that way.
It, this answer, in a way, makes me quite happy because it means that you are an Element employee and you are spending, well, engineering time that Element pays for. And this is for a mostly community feature that Element is not going to make a lot of business over this feature, but still you have several person days sunk into that work. So I'm quite happy that there is still work going on for the community side of bridges.
Oh yeah, I mean, like if you look at the recent stuff we've done for Hookshot and all the new releases there, we definitely haven't like given up community, everything like that. There's consistent, constant work being done by the Bridge crew. Like most of our time is going into at the moment various open source matters. Of course, it doesn't always spread evenly. We don't spend 1 hour a day on each bridge and then go, that's done. There'll be times where things at the IC bridge requires a lot of work, and so we'll go in and do these big projects. But equally, of course, we manage our time very well. And Hookshot, being one of our youngest bridges, gets more time at the moment. But no, like our commitment to ensuring these bridges work well has never changed. We always want to have these bridges work as best as they can. Big projects like this can take a while to negotiate because, of course, you're asking for a lot of time to build what is essentially a massive refactor of the entire IC bridge structure. And there are many issues on the track over the years of us attempting to work on this. So it's not like a thing I spent like a weekend on and be done with it. But no, if a problem like this is occurring, we will solve it. And I think this is a good testament to the fact that, yeah, when we finally get some time to work on it, we can pull out some amazing stuff. And I'm hoping everyone basically enjoys the work.
Amazing. Is there anything else you wanted to add before we conclude the episode?
I guess again, the only thing to say is people have been using the new integration manager that came out a few weeks ago. Thanks to everyone who's been giving feedback on that, on the element tracker, etc. I know it's not quite related to the IC work we've been doing, but it's appreciated that people have given feedback, and we've, I think, hopefully worked on that feedback. So yeah, we're doing a lot of stuff in the integrations land, and thanks everyone for your patience.
All right. Well, in that case, I think it's time to conclude the episode. Once again, I'm going to thank you for this work that is benefiting the community. I want to remind everybody that the Matrix.org Foundation is doing this work funded by the community. So I'm going to leave a link in the description to the donor box. As an individual, you can give us a donation to DonorBox, and if you are an organization, a larger organization, you can reach out to funding@matrix.org if you want to help us financially, and if you want to join as a member the Matrix.org Foundation. In the meantime, take care, and I see you around Matrix Live.
See ya.